Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to predict the first week of college football. Now, I know you guys are probably saying I'm way too late here because the first official game started about 15 minutes ago, and yes, I'm aware of that, but I am not aware of the score or what's going on in the games. But it's only one game that's going on right now, and another's about to start in probably uh, another one's probably about to start in 10 minutes. So, first game, Oregon State at Colorado State. Now, this is the game that's going on right now. The only thing I know about it is I heard Oregon State scored the first touchdown. But, however, I believe Colorado State will win because they are the better team. And the reason I'm making this video right now is because I am very interested in the topic because I have actually watched a lot of videos as of recent about college football and the anticipation and people predicting records of these teams. And I'm not here to predict the record. I'm just going week by week. I'm just going to go by the first week and predict who will win. That's cool, but I just want to do it right now to give you guys some heads up because week 1 sometimes usually has the best matchups because it's a chance where smaller schools can have that where they actually have a chance to win some against some bigger teams that might prove themselves. So there's a lot of opportunity in the first few weeks of college football, and usually sometimes those are when they most matter because the earlier you can get up in them rankings, the better because later on you might be able to get to like a top 4 spot at one point up the chain. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to predict the games. I predict Colorado State to beat Oregon State, even though at the moment Colorado State is not winning. I was just a little bit late to predict this, but I already had that prediction before. Colorado State would beat Oregon State, and then we got Portland State at BYU. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I have no clue who Portland. Well, I know who they are, but I don't believe they are well, they might be in FBS, but I know they are a lower level school. They are a smaller school. BYU's not extremely huge either, but they're more well known and they're a bigger school, I would say, for sure, than Portland State. And they're at home, and so I think that's a good reason right there to say BYU wins. Now, a lot of these games are just made as cupcake teams for some of these guys, but some are actually major challenges because not every smaller school is easy to beat. Like we saw Alabama last year; they had trouble beating Chattanooga. They didn't have that game won until the fourth quarter. Literally, that game was not over until they took a 3 touchdown lead. It was like 24-3. That's when I would say it's over. But basically, guys, I'm saying week 1 is a very big. You have a very big chance to lose in week 1 because everything's unexpected. Some games are seen as cupcake games, but we play them to see who really is the better team. Because I mean, it could either be a cupcake for a larger school in the FBS, or a it could be a test for one of these smaller schools that could possibly win. But I'm not here to even speak for the next 20 minutes about that. I'm just here to predict the games for week 1. So basically, we got Colorado State and BYU at 1-0, Oregon State and Portland State both at 0-1. We got Hawaii at UMass. Now, this one I would say is a lot harder to predict because both of these teams are probably on the same level. And they're both they're not the biggest of schools, but I will say right now, UMass is not really that great of a team. They can pull off an upset every once in a while, but they won't. And Hawaii is just the same way. And personally, if I had to make the choice, I would definitely say Hawaii is better than UMass. But it's so hard to predict, though, because UMass, as we all know, is at home for this. So, I mean, UMass isn't really the best. I mean, they'll maybe win a few games in a season. Hawaii's just the same way. But personally, I like how Hawaii in their games play and how they don't just lose immediately. How they might actually give you a challenge, but other games you might just get your ass whooped, you know. What I'm telling you guys here is Hawaii, when they play these bigger schools, are a lot less dangerous, but they're more dangerous when playing these smaller schools like UMass. But I'm just going to give UMass the win since they're at home. But so far, I think Hawaii has a good chance to win as well. But I'm going to say UMass just to play it safe. Then we got South Florida at San Jose State, and South Florida is now finally ranked for the first time in school history. They are currently number 19, and they're at San Jose State, but we all know San Jose State can't do crap. No matter who they play, small or big, they can't do crap. South Florida has been probably waiting the past 25 years, or how many years they've been around. They've probably been waiting since the 90s for this moment to come, and it's finally here, guys. But unfortunately, they could lose all of that through just one loss like San Jose State. But I really think South Florida is too good, even though their defense really does suck, because they played Navy and their defense was absolutely horrible. I still think South Florida I think San Jose State has a weak offense, so I'm gonna say South Florida can defend them off and probably destroy them like 56 to like 17 or something like that. Whatever it is. And I have no clue what the noise behind me is. And then finally at 10 p.m. tonight, we got Stanford versus Rice. Now I know I'm making it the very first day of college football. But right now, guys, I'm going to tell you that Rice, it looks like they're at home, but it says versus because it's actually in a different country. They're playing in Australia. So really it's a neutral game for both teams. But it will really only matter based off of skill in this one and not who your fans are. Because it even says Allianz Stadium, Sydney, NSW. So we all know it's not gonna be at anyone's home. But we all know Stanford's ranked 14th, and they're playing a small CUSA school, Conference USA. They are a smaller school, and Rice, I would say, stands no chance. But I mean, we don't know how they've improved. I mean, I haven't seen Rice play in their spring game. I really haven't seen Rice in a while. But I'm just gonna guess based off of how well Stanford's ranked and how well they play against smaller teams like this. I'm going to guess Stanford probably whoops the pants off of them, and Rice has no chance. So now we're going to move on to Thursday, which there is Florida Atlantic at UCF. Now, if it was a bigger, no, Florida International, not Florida Atlantic. Florida International, now we know they're a pretty small Conference USA school, just like Rice is. But I mean, UCF, though, they might have a chance for the fact that UCF is not a huge school either. I mean, way bigger than Florida International, but I mean, it's not like they're playing like the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're playing the UCF Black Knights. So, I mean, I'm definitely not choosing Florida International because I don't think they're that good of a team. So I'm going to say UCF over FIU. They go 1-0. And surprisingly enough, not 0-12 like they were a few years ago. But there's Presbyterian at Wake Forest. Now Wake Forest is one of the worst teams in the ACC. I mean, they weren't horribly bad last year, but I will tell you, usually they don't do too well in the ACC, and they usually don't reach a bowl game. But yet Presbyterian is probably an FCS school. I have no clue. I don't think they are. And if they are, let's just say they're not beating Wake Forest on the road, because Wake Forest is definitely good enough to beat an FCS school, especially playing at home. And there's Austin Peay. That is an FCS school at Cincinnati. I'm just easily enough going to say Cincinnati because Austin Peay didn't win one game last year. Even though they started out winning like 13-0 against Kentucky, they ended up losing 42-13 in the end. They allowed like 6 or 7 touchdowns unanswered after taking a 13-0 lead. Austin Peay looked like they were going to pull off an upset against an SEC team, but sadly enough for them, that didn't even come close to happening. They got killed. They didn't play good at all for the rest of the game after those 2 touchdowns. And Cincinnati, I don't think is as good as Kentucky. So Austin Peay may stand a chance, but I'm going to say for sure, pretty much Cincinnati wins. We all know that deep in our hearts. And then on Big Ten Network, there's Buffalo at Minnesota. Minnesota is actually, I'm going to say they're a really good team because they just got PJ Fleck, who was the coach of Western Michigan. And hilariously, Buffalo is in the MAC conference where Western Michigan was, and they even played each other, Buffalo and Western Michigan. So, I mean, PJ Fleck probably knows this school really well at this point. I'm going to say Minnesota for sure wins this, but maybe Buffalo has a chance because they know PJ Fleck. But I'm just going to say Minnesota wins because they're at home, they're the better team, and they've got the better coach. So, Minnesota, I'll call for that one. And so far, I believe, no. Well, yeah, actually, I've already called 2 road. Well, no, only 1 road win. There's only 1 team that wins on the road so far, and that's South Florida because they're number 19. But everyone else, let's just say there's probably been 7 or 8 games I've already said, and most of them are home wins. Home games, I should say. And then 2 smaller schools squaring off, Georgia State and Tennessee State. I'm just calling Georgia State because I really think they are a good team. I think they came close to pulling off an upset against Troy, and they played pretty well against Wisconsin last year too. I mean, they only lost to Wisconsin by 6 points at Wisconsin. So definitely gonna call Georgia State over Tennessee State. You guys are probably thinking, why don't I predict a bigger team? I'm just looking at the weeks, man, and, I kind of want to give people my personal opinion on how well someone's going to do or how bad someone's going to do or whatever I want to do, okay? It's my channel. I make the predictions. Elon at Toledo. Now, I believe these 2 schools are about at the same level. But I'm going to say Toledo's the better team. They're at home. They got the advantage. They've came close countless times to winning the MAC, but they never have because you all know why. There's always been that one team that's just beaten them by the littlest bit. But I'm definitely calling Toledo for sure, even though they wouldn't beat bigger schools. I mean, they did beat Arkansas a couple of years ago, but I don't think they'll be beating any big schools this year. But definitely Toledo over a school like Elon. And then there's Rhode Island at Central Michigan. Now Rhode Island is a pretty small school, but they're good at basketball, not so much at football. Central Michigan, as we all know, last year pulled off an upset at number 22 Oklahoma. And yes, it was at Oklahoma State. So Central Michigan isn't the worst of teams, but I would say definitely within their conference they would lose a few games. But it's pretty simple enough that we would say Central Michigan. They're clearly the better team and they're at home. And then what do you know? We got Tulsa at number 10, Oklahoma State. So this is a game I really got to discuss with you guys. Because if you guys don't remember Tulsa last year, how they were 9-3. And if you guys remember the moment when Tulsa had their running back literally just come up like an inch short of the goal line, and they ended up losing to Houston by a touchdown because he came up an inch short. Really, Tulsa did get robbed of that game, though. They should have beat Houston, but Houston didn't lose that game for the reason that, of course, he got stopped short of the end zone. So I'm going to say good defense on Houston's part, but really Tulsa got ripped off because they didn't get in there. It was just like that one Super Bowl where the Titans literally lost to the Rams just because he was just inches short when he extended the ball to the goal line. So, you know, tough loss for Tulsa. And I really think, with that being said, they have a chance to pull off an upset against Oklahoma State. Because Tulsa literally almost beat a team that beat Oklahoma. They almost beat a team that beat the Sooners. And we all know Oklahoma State doesn't know how to beat the Sooners nowadays. But one thing I'm going to tell you guys, Oklahoma State is at home. And they are in the top 10. But I feel that doesn't mean they'll be that doesn't mean they'll come out with a win. No, Tulsa is no easy challenge. Don't even underestimate Tulsa at all. We've seen how well they played last year. They almost knocked off a top 10 team. They almost knocked off a couple of top 10 teams. They played number, like, I forget where Ohio State was ranked. Ohio State was ranked in the top 5 at the time, and Tulsa literally gave them a tough challenge. Even though at one point Ohio State would pull out and win 48-3, for the moment it looked like Tulsa could have actually made that game closer than it was. It was 48-3 final, but only because Ohio State's defense actually started to play. And if Ohio State really starts to try, then Ohio State's gonna kick ass. Clearly, they will not lose to a team like Tulsa. They just didn't allow it. And I'll say Ohio State is definitely better than Oklahoma State in that sense. Because like I said, Oklahoma State got knocked off by Central Michigan last year. At home. Number 22. They lost to Central Michigan from the MAC. That is like a big upset. Huge. That is very unexpected from a team like Oklahoma State to play that bad at home and then end up getting beat by a few points. So, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not saying Tulsa will win this game, but they do have a chance, thinking that, like I said earlier, this is one of them weeks. These first few weeks are opportunities in the non-conference where these teams from smaller conferences can pull off upsets against big top 10 ranked teams here like Oklahoma State. And then that could make their resume. With how well Tulsa played last year, that should pretty much put them up in that spot where they can actually be ranked. I think they deserve to be ranked if they can beat Oklahoma State. But however, though, I think they'll need maybe another ranked opponent this season to be able to make it to a championship game, like college football championship. But this is a huge opportunity for Tulsa, considering that they're playing in an environment that they're pretty used to, the Oklahoma environment. They are pretty used to the state of Oklahoma because Tulsa's in Oklahoma. Thing is, they're at number 10 Oklahoma State, guys. But Oklahoma State, like I said, they're not guaranteed to beat these smaller schools. They're playing a team that's very, very used to this environment, and they maybe only have to travel at the most a few hundred miles. That's it. Tulsa doesn't have to travel across the country. They're playing in-state, and they're playing a team that they know messes up. So this might encourage Tulsa to play extra well. And let's just say I don't think Tulsa will win this game, but what I do believe is it will be a close and tough fight. Oklahoma State will not automatically have this win. This could be a potential upset here where Tulsa does end up beating Oklahoma State. So I believe Tulsa has a very good potential. Even though I only have Tulsa being 6-6 this year, I think I think that this win, if they can beat Oklahoma State, that will boost their confidence. And they will do a lot better than 6-6 if they can beat teams like Oklahoma State. They'll be unstoppable if they win this game. But just to play it safe, I think in a close, scary game for Oklahoma State, they win by I'll guess 10, maybe. I'm gonna guess at the most 10, and maybe a 1-point game if it gets to the point where Tulsa plays them that tough. But if it's a high-scoring game, and what would make Oklahoma State look bad from this game is if they were to play Tulsa, they were to score a lot of points, but Tulsa scored quite. Say Oklahoma State scores 66 points in this game, but yet Tulsa literally stays at their level, and they score a lot of points too. And Tulsa gets 52 points. Oklahoma State has 66. That's only a 2-touchdown difference, guys. And basically, that doesn't make, especially playing a smaller school like Tulsa here, even though it is in the general vicinity and there is an advantage a little bit for Tulsa, most of it's to Oklahoma State. But Oklahoma State, man, we know they know how to score a lot of points, but their defense is not the best. So I'm going to say right now, if Oklahoma really cares to do anything in this game, let's just say they want to hold it defensively. Tulsa especially is going to want to do it defensively because it really makes Tulsa look a little bit bad too when you're letting them score 66 points. But it's best, since you're not at home and the advantage is towards them, I think it's definitely best to square up on defense there. And, don't let them get too far on any play. Don't allow any big plays. Just a tip of advice for Tulsa, man, play real good on defense. Slam everyone with the ball. Don't let them get big plays and keep it close too, because if at any point I would say Oklahoma State at one point has a 17-point lead, I'd say even that's enough to be over 17 points because, like I said, advantageous with that home game and the fact that they're a better team. But the keys for an upset with Tulsa, they just need to keep up with Oklahoma State and try and hold them on defense and do everything to their power to make Oklahoma State just weak and tired and play horribly. At one point, they will weaken and tire. And I say you want to keep Oklahoma State below 40 points in this game if you want to win. You're going to want to keep them below 40 points. I say the moment if Oklahoma State can get to 42 points, that's almost win for them. Because I don't know if Tulsa can really keep up, because Oklahoma State could step up on defense too. But we're not going to talk about this for the rest of the video. You're already bored to death already, so let's just move on from this. Oklahoma State wins. Holy Cross at Connecticut. Now, Holy Cross, we all know, they were in the NCAA March Madness tournament in basketball. Their basketball team, they played Oregon in the first round and clearly lost because Oregon made it all the way to the Final Four. So clearly Holy Cross did not make it far. In basketball, let's just say there is no such thing as FCS in basketball. So any team could make it to that tournament, no matter how good or bad you are. Just need to be in the top 68. Top 64. They're going to choose 8 extra teams, but 4 of those 8 extra teams are going to be in. They already go with the top 60. And then there's 8 teams that get a chance to play for the last 4 spots. But anyway, guys, like I said, Holy Cross, I think, is an FCS level team. But I'm going to say Connecticut wins it just because they're at home. And I didn't even say one thing about Connecticut yet. But they're going to win because they're at home. And I think they're an improved team from many years in the past. But I'm definitely going to go with Connecticut for this one. because I like their chances against Holy Cross with the fact that they're not such a good football team. And there's North Dakota at Utah. Once again, another FCS level team. This would look really good on North Dakota if they won, but if Utah was ranked at the time, they're not. But we don't even need to stay on this for a long time because clearly North Dakota will not win this. They're an FCS level team. Utah wins. End of story. And then Ohio State at Indiana. Once again, another team you got to look out for, Indiana. Indiana, I remember a couple of years ago, they were playing Ohio State. At one point, they were up like 10-0. And that was scary for me being a Buckeye fan, man. Getting shut out. I think it was almost halftime, and we were getting shut out 10-0. And it was not an easy game. Let's just say Indiana, for the longest time, looked like they were going to finish that game out strong, and they were going to win. Indiana was looking to pull off that upset. But, however, I don't think they'll do the same this year. I think it'll be close. But Ohio State, I think, will start out with the lead this year and will maintain that lead for the rest of the game. So, Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State, let's just say, if they lose this game, they will lose a lot of confidence and they might not have the best of seasons. But since Ohio State usually does win their opener of the season, even though it's at Indiana and it's a conference game, usually they always win it. And I think this is probably the first conference game opener of the season. Their first home opener, I believe, is against Oklahoma, where they might lose. I don't know. I'll think about it after I see them play Indiana. First of all, if they lose to Indiana, I'll tell you, they won't have the best of seasons if they lose to Indiana. Indiana can very well pull this off. They have enough talent. They are ready for this season. And usually at this time of year, the first probably 6 weeks of the college football season is not the greatest of times to play Indiana. And Ohio State always has to because like, it's a good game. Ohio State and Indiana always turns out as a good game when it's on the road. But what I'm going to tell you guys right now is they've never played this early. And, Indiana season might go one way or the other depending on how well they play this. And I believe it'll be the same for Ohio State. So let's just say both teams are probably going to play pretty tough. I think this game will probably get in the 30s, maybe the 40s if necessary, but I definitely am going to say Ohio State comes on top by a touchdown or two, and Indiana will start to lose some confidence. And now let's move on to Florida A&M versus Arkansas. By the way, this is Thursday, August the 31st, which is 5 days from now. Florida A&M versus Arkansas, and once again, another FCS level opponent. I don't know if Florida A&M is in the FCS, but I'm going to guess they're just as bad. Because I remember Ohio State played them, being the Buckeye fan I am. They lost 76-0 in Columbus. They got just torn apart. And now this time they're heading to the Razorbacks. Even though the Razorbacks do lose to teams like Toledo in the MAC. Toledo is actually a fairly good MAC team, just like Western Michigan, but however, Florida A&M is nowhere close to a good team, or a good team on the FCS level. Even in the FCS, they're probably a bad team. I think they are FBS, but I'm going to tell you right now, they're not beating Arkansas. I like the Razorbacks to win this game. Louisiana Monroe at Memphis, just like the last game. Louisiana Monroe is not the best of teams. Memphis can lose to opponents like this kind of level, but I don't think it'll happen. Memphis is at home. I think they have a potential to win their conference this season, so I'm going to choose Memphis to win this game. Clearly enough, it should be Memphis, and you guys are probably thinking, why is he going through these FCS versus FBS? Because I said I'm looking through the whole Week 1 schedule. So basically, I'm going all the way up through Saturday, September the 2nd, as we're heading into the 1st. We'll probably be here for another 10 minutes. Crap. I'm talking for too long, so of course we'll be here. I'm not just going to flip through it. I like to give my explanations, and I'm speaking loud and clearly so you guys don't lose interest and you kind of think about it. Now, it'd be nice if you guys just watched for like a minute or something, because, hey, at least it means you care about my content. But if you're all the way here a half hour through, you're pretty loyal as a fan. Thank you. And then there's Idaho and Sacramento State. Clearly enough, Idaho's going to win that. Now we know neither of those two teams are known about too much, and they're pretty bad, both of them. Idaho's not really the best because, they're getting moved down to they're the only team ever that's getting moved down to the FCS level from FBS. But apparently they're not a good enough team to stay where they're at. So I guess they're going to drop out of Sun Belt and they're going to move down to the FCS level, meaning they're only going to play 11 games instead of 12. And they're going to be playing a lot weaker teams. Let's just say Sacramento State, I don't have any clue who they are, and they're on the road. So I'm just going to pick a winky dinker here and say Idaho. And then the final game on Thursday at 10:30, which I will not be up for because it's a school night. New Mexico State at Arizona State. However, we do know who both of these teams are. We do know who New Mexico State and Arizona State are. But I'm going to say one thing for sure here is there's a difference between them. Arizona State is a team that some years can do very well, get ranked pretty high, and, maybe make a championship. A good, like, their conference championship. Or maybe like maybe even a national championship they can compete for. New Mexico State hasn't won a bowl game in almost 60 years, guys. They haven't won a bowl game since 1960. They haven't been to a bowl game since 1960, I believe. It's been 57, pretty close to 60 years since New Mexico State has been to a bowl game. So basically it means they haven't had a winning record in a long time, or that's just how long it's been since they've won a bowl game. I don't think it matters. Let's just say New Mexico State, I still don't think, no matter what, I really don't think they are a good team at all. I mean, I'm going to say they have a chance to win this game just because it's at Arizona State, and I think Arizona State is a good team. I will choose Arizona State. So now we are heading into Friday, September the 1st. We got Fordham at Army. Army and Fordham. That should be pretty easy. Army's going to win that game because we know how well they played against Navy. I think they play exceptionally well against these smaller teams. Fordham, I think, could be an Ivy League, but I don't think it is. But let's just say I don't like Fordham. It's a good opportunity for them to get to a bigger level if they can beat teams like this. But I don't think Fordham will be one of those teams, and I think they're pretty bad. So I'm going to take Army to win this game. Then there's Charlotte at Eastern Michigan. Charlotte's in the Conference USA, and Eastern Michigan's in the MAC. Now, I believe both of these schools are at about the same level. But Charlotte doesn't win a whole lot of games, even in their own conference. They might be lucky to win 6 games at most. Eastern Michigan isn't the best of teams either, but at least they can get a winning record. And, they kind of look good. They played Old Dominion in their bowl game. Sadly lost by 4 points, but, I definitely think they're better than Charlotte, and they're going to beat Charlotte. So that's 1-0. And I think I have Eastern Michigan beating Kentucky in an upset, too. For whatever reason it is, I think they'll beat Kentucky and Rutgers, I think. Then there's Central Connecticut at Syracuse. We don't even have to talk about this. Even though Syracuse is not a really good team, definitely good enough to beat a smaller school like Central Connecticut. Washington at Rutgers. Once again, no explanation. except for the fact that Washington is in the top 10. Rutgers, I only have winning one game this season. I'm going with Washington. Navy at Florida Atlantic. Now, this is one I could debate a little bit. Florida Atlantic has a new coach. They got Lane Kiffin, the offensive coordinator for Alabama for the past few years. And I don't think that will completely make Florida Atlantic a winning school, but I think they might just make it to a bowl game with him coming in this year. He might improve the team as he goes, but I think Florida Atlantic still has a long way to go before they become anything such as a ranked team. They're a Conference USA team. And then there's Navy here, who sometimes is ranked, sometimes is not. They still play pretty well on offense and defense. Like, this is a team that plays well pretty much on both sides. And Florida Atlantic really hasn't been the best team, but they're at home. But I'm just going to call Navy because Lane Kiffin, it's his first season returning as a head coach for somewhere. So I'm definitely, for this game, going to call Navy. But I think Florida Atlantic might have a slight chance to win. Not a slight. I think they might have a 25% chance to win, but I'm definitely calling Navy in this one for sure, because I like how they've played the past few years. Colorado State versus Colorado. Now, I like how Colorado State has been playing. Colorado, I think, just had a breakout season from luck. They did lose to teams like USC and somebody else, but that was it. I think Colorado just had a lucky breakout season. This year, I don't even know if Colorado will make it to a bowl game. I think if they're lucky, they'll be 6-6, and at the worst, 5-7. So I think they're 6-6 or 5-7. That's my record. The worst you could probably go with them is 4-8, because I just don't think they'll play as exceptionally well as they did last year to make it to a conference championship. No, I believe that Colorado won't make a bowl game, and if they do, it'll be very small, because I don't think they deserve any kind of big bowl game. Colorado State has played well, but I'm just going with Colorado because they're the bigger school and they're playing at home. So, Colorado. Utah State at number 9, Wisconsin. This should be pretty obvious. Wisconsin. Utah State has been improving. They played a pretty good one against Boise State last year. Boise State's nowhere near Wisconsin's level. Wisconsin whoops the pants off of them. End of story. And then the final game that Friday at 9:30, we Boston College at Northern Illinois. Now, Boston College will not win this, just because it's at Northern Illinois, and I think overall the past few years, Northern Illinois has been the better team, and I think they will be the better team in this game. Boston College is a Power 5 conference team. Northern Illinois is a Group of 5 conference team. But Northern Illinois will win because I believe they are one of the better teams. Sometimes they'll do average, sometimes they'll do exceptionally well in their conference. But I'm just going to call Northern Illinois to play it safe, and because I really don't like how Boston College has been playing. So now we get to the unreasonable games here, which are Kent State at Clemson. We all know that Kent State has no chance to win this at all. No chance. Kent State will come into this game, probably get the pants whooped off of them Kent State will probably get the pants whooped off of them like they did against Alabama last year, 48-0. So, for some reason, Clemson is not ranked number 1. They should be, because they won the national championship. And they are the defending national champions, so this gives Kent State a very good opportunity to try to beat a team this well, because they have lost a lot of starters and talent, and Clemson, I don't think will be as good as last year, but I think they will still remain to be good, 9-3, 10-2-ish good. They will still make a good bowl game, I think. They might be in a New Year's Six, but I don't know for sure. I have them playing Ohio State in like the Fiesta Bowl and a rematch. I think Ohio State will definitely win, but Clemson is going to win this game. No doubt about it. They might not destroy Kent State. I just think they're going to beat Kent State to some certain extent. I don't think it'll be close, but I don't think they will destroy Kent. Well, actually, that could very well happen, but I'm going to say this will not be a close game. And then we got Akron at Penn State. Penn State is just as good as Clemson, pretty much. They're not as good, but they are pretty close to as good. But just because Akron sucks, they're on the road against Penn State. I don't even want to go through this because I'm getting pretty hot and sweaty, and I'm getting pretty tired talking, because it's been over 40 minutes. But I'm just going to say right now, Penn State is going to win this game. Akron's a MAC school. End of discussion. And then we got a more debatable matchup down here. Maryland at Texas. Because Texas is number 23 and they're at home. I'm going to call Texas. But I definitely think Maryland has a chance because I think they are close to Texas's level. But I think Texas is just a little bit better as a team. They got the better coach, the better players. I'm sorry about that cough. But Texas is definitely the better team in this situation. I would give you a more detailed explanation. Like I said, I would like to get done with this a lot quicker now. Ball State at Illinois. Now, both of these teams are not really the best. Ball State is in the MAC. They are not a really good team. Illinois is in the Big Ten. They are in a Power 5 school. They are a Power 5 school, and they're not really that good either. But playing these smaller schools at home, I think will really give them a better chance to win a game. So, no matter how good Illinois is, they'll probably always beat teams like Ball State. They'll probably beat MAC schools. I mean, Western Michigan, though, I believe they played Western Michigan last year and got the pants whooped off of them, like 45-24 or something like that. Played Western Michigan at home, got the crap whooped out of them. But, I mean, Ball State is not one of those teams like Western Michigan. I think Illinois is a better team, and they have improved. But I still think they'll have a bad record. But Illinois, I still think will win this game. So I choose Illinois. Wyoming at Iowa. Now, this is a very debatable game as well. Because I think Wyoming and Iowa are at the same level. Because both of them, I think, are very equivalent. Because Wyoming and Iowa both, in their conference, are usually a dark horse. But never do win the conference. Because usually, like, having like over 10 teams in a conference is quite big, you would say. I think all conferences have over 10 teams. Just to let you guys know. Iowa's at home for this one. Wyoming has had some moments in their conference where they beat the better teams. And it's kind of a back and forth kind of situation there between who you would want to win. I'm just calling Iowa because they're at home. I could be wrong. I don't think Wyoming has enough skill to beat them. But I do think they have a possible chance to win. Iowa, I'm just choosing to win because they're at home. They've lost a lot of talent, though. They still have the same coach, and I think they get this one done. But it will be very close in my opinion. I don't think it'll be like Miami, Ohio, where they win by like 45-28 or something like that. No, it won't be like that. They're gonna beat Wyoming by like probably 6 points or something like that. And then we got Bowling Green at Michigan State. Now both of these teams last year declined from what they used to be. Both of these teams are not as good as the year before. 2 years ago, both of these teams were exceptionally well in their conference. Michigan State even made it to the college football playoff, but then got destroyed by Alabama, 38-0. But just because Michigan State's at home, I think overall they're the better team. They're in the bigger conference. They're in a Power 5 conference. They will definitely win this game. But don't count Bowling Green out either, but I mean, I want to count Bowling Green out pretty badly. I just think Michigan State losing to Bowling Green, that happening is very slim. I mean, they did lose to Illinois last year. I mean, they were at Illinois, but they almost did pull off a win in the end, but unfortunately they couldn't get to the end zone quick enough. So they ended up losing last minute. I mean, that for some reason that game was actually a fight. Usually Michigan State will whoop the pants off of a team like Illinois, but they struggled to win. For some reason every conference game they just struggled in. But there was maybe one game where they came out with a win. I forget who was it against. But I think Michigan State definitely does come back from last season, and they play a lot better than they did last season. At the end of the season, I think they finish 8-4, and they might be ranked if they can do better than that and beat a team that's pretty good as well. Then we got Missouri State at Missouri. Okay, State versus bigger school. Whatever, it's at Missouri. Missouri State is an FCS level school. Missouri, of course, we know is in the SEC. Simply enough, Missouri will win, even though usually they suck. And they did lose to a Conference USA team, Middle Tennessee. But Missouri State is a lot worse. I think Missouri whoops the pants off of them, just like they did Delaware State, where they won like 79-0. I think they win by a lot, and they're probably going to win. So I choose Missouri to win their first game. California at North Carolina. Now, a lot of people are saying this is a highly anticipated game. I don't like the idea so much. I really don't think that this will be a game worth watching, because North Carolina, just for the fact of being home, I really just think North Carolina is going to win this game because they're at home. In California, they're like a 2-10 team. Come on, they have no chance. And then there's Bethune-Cookman at number 18, Miami. Definitely Miami, no doubt about that. I have no clue who Bethune-Cookman is. I didn't know who they were until I saw they were on Miami's schedule. But definitely for sure, if any team was to pull off an upset, it wouldn't be Bethune-Cookman. It would be more like Appalachian State, who got their butts whooped against Miami. So they didn't even stand a chance against Miami. So, I mean, Bethune-Cookman, that's pretty much automatically a loss. But if Bethune-Cookman, like I said, the first few weeks is always where we decide what's a challenge and what's a test and what's a cupcake. But basically, Bethune-Cookman, I'm going to say is a cupcake for sure, because I don't know who they are. And Youngstown State at Pittsburgh. And even though Youngstown State is at FCS level, you cannot say that this is an automatic win for Pittsburgh. It's not. I think Youngstown State in the past has defeated Pittsburgh. I forget, it was like 2015, I think Youngstown State beat Pittsburgh like 31-24. It was a while. I remember pretty recently Youngstown State beat Pittsburgh because they have the old Nebraska head coach, Bo Pelini. He's pretty good. And they actually made it to the FCS championship last year, but sadly lost to James Madison 14-28. But let's just say, don't count them out against Pittsburgh. I think they do stand a chance, and they might just win this game. But just because Pittsburgh's at home, and I think they're a better team, Pittsburgh will win. But I think it'll be a close game. I don't think they destroy. And then once again, Portland State, after losing to BYU, 0-1. Now at Oregon State. Oregon State, now we know, are playing Colorado State right now. We don't know if they're killing them or not, but they could be killing them. It could be a close game. I have no clue, but that game's going on right now, and it's been going on for probably over an hour. It's probably close to halftime right now for all we know. But Portland State at Oregon State, let's just say, easy enough. Portland State is like an FBS school, I'm going to guess, so I'm going to go with Oregon State. VMI at Air Force. Air Force, VMI is also FCS. NC State at South Carolina. Now, how you could be led to believe NC State could beat South Carolina is because usually they played a lot better and have came close to pulling off many upsets, but unfortunately have not. But it's at South Carolina, I think. I don't know if it's completely at, like, it says versus, so it might not be there. But I'm going to guess it's kind of to South Carolina's advantage because it's in that area. And South Carolina has a lot of experience on a team like NC State. So I'm just going to choose South Carolina because I think that's who will do better. But NC State definitely is going to make it a close game with, how good they play in the ACC. I definitely think South Carolina is not a guaranteed. They don't have any guaranteed win over NC State. NC State is nowhere close to a guaranteed win when you play them. Ask teams like Clemson at home, who almost lost by a field goal, but got lucky because he missed it or it was blocked. I forget. I think he missed it, but if he had not missed it, that would have been like miracle, man. I thought for sure NC State had that in the bag and they were gonna win it. That would have been cool to see NC State have it, but I really don't think that they will pull off a win against South Carolina, though. I just have South Carolina winning because it's early on in the season. I think South Carolina will improve. There you go. There's a win. So then there's UTEP at number 7 Oklahoma. Once again, at another top 10 team. I would say UTEP would have a chance if they weren't playing a team like Oklahoma. Now, UTEP usually does good in their conference, but I don't think they would do good against a team like Oklahoma, number 10 on the road. Let's just say, no discussion, Oklahoma wins this game. UTEP has a slight chance, like maybe a 1% chance or something like that. Maybe like a 16% chance. I'll say they have an 18% chance to win. Oklahoma 82, pretty much in the bag for Oklahoma. Don't even play this, but they're gonna do it anyway because, like I said, first few weeks it's a test for many teams to see if they could actually be worth having top spots. And there's number 11 Michigan versus number 17 Florida. So Michigan pretty much is a top 10 team to start out with. Florida, number 17, usually gets their asses kicked against teams like Alabama and highly ranked teams like that. And they even lost to Michigan 41-7 a couple of years ago, back in 2015 in the Citrus Bowl. Even though Michigan, I don't think will destroy them now, they still win because they have the more experience. I like Michigan a lot better to win this game. I think they're the better highly ranked team, even though Florida does stand a chance in this game because Michigan has weakened down a bit because Michigan has lost some talent. But I don't think Florida will be the best either because they have a new quarterback coming in, Alex Zaire from Notre Dame that switched. So, but I'm still giving Michigan the win because I like Harbaugh better than I forget what his freaking name is. I think Florida's gonna have one of the best years they've had. Temple at Notre Dame. I would say Temple has a chance if they were playing at home and they're trying to pull off an upset for the first time since 1945. Unfortunately, the chance they did get in 2015 to do it, they failed with it. So Temple will now have to go to Notre Dame, where I don't think they'll stand a chance. I think Notre Dame gets better. They step up. They play harder this year, and they have a better record than they did last year. Kind of like Michigan State. They're gonna get better, and I don't think they'll be as bad as last year. So Notre Dame will win that game over Temple by I'm gonna guess 2 touchdowns at most, at least maybe, I don't know. I just say Notre Dame wins, and it's not close, but it's not a destruction either. Nevada at Northwestern. Easily enough, Nevada I really don't think is the best of teams. They might be able to pull off an upset against Northwestern because of how well they've really been playing recently. But I just have Northwestern because they're a bigger school, they're playing at home, and I like them better as a team. So, Northwestern to win that game. William and Mary at Virginia. Once again, another FCS level school. I say Virginia wins that just for the benefit of being at home and playing a team like William and Mary. Alabama A&M at the returning UAB Blazers, they haven't played since 2014. They stopped their football program for the past 3 years. The 3 years are going to return. UAB actually was going to just forget about their football program because they didn't have enough money for that to keep it, so they decided to get rid of it for a little while. But now they're deciding to return it. And I think UAB, just as a returning team, playing at home, playing a team like Alabama A&M, that's really not the best. I think UAB plays really well just to impress their fans who are now returning, and, they're returning after being gone for so long, but now, as you guys know, they're back, they're going to win, and there you go, UAB wins. Troy at Boise State. Now, most of you, this is probably where you guys are going to start calling me a dumbass. Where I say Troy will beat Boise State. Now, I'm calling Troy to win this game because I liked how they played last year, and I think they'll play very similar the same way this year. Boise State, I think, will play pretty well too. But I just want to see an upset happen in Week 1, and I feel it will happen somewhere. Kind of like Wisconsin beating LSU unranked. I think this is the upset we see. Troy gets a road win over Boise State. Not very likely, but I'm going to call Troy to win because I think they'll have another excellent season. And I think they'll pull off many road upsets like this. This might even make Troy ranked. They were number 25 at one point last year, this was the game where they lost to Arkansas State, which they would end up losing like 35-3 at home. So then that kicks them out of the rankings for sure. But let's not talk about that for too long. We've been doing this for almost an hour, or I really need to stop. But there's a lot of games that I could just sit here and talk about all day. Stony Brook at South Florida. Easy enough. Stony Brook sucks. South Florida is ranked number 19 at home. South Florida, Eastern Washington, who almost made it to the FCS championship. They're at Texas Tech. Texas Tech wins. They're at home. They have a better scoring offense. I'm going to go with Texas Tech. Kentucky at Southern Mississippi. This is not a game you can underestimate either. Kentucky very well has a chance to lose this game, but Southern Mississippi I don't think is good enough to win. I think it'll be close because it's at Southern Miss and they play pretty well there. But I think it'll be just like last year when they played them. I forget, did they win or lose? I don't remember, but I know it's going to be close, and I think Kentucky's going to pull it off, and they're going to win. I think they lost 44-35 in an upset, but I definitely think this year they will beat Southern Mississippi. If they didn't last year, I still think they'll do it this year, even if they did or didn't. Charleston Southern at Mississippi State. Now, I would say Charleston Southern if they were a good FCS team. But as of recent, they really haven't been playing the best in the FCS, and they've pretty much been getting their butt kicked all the time. And Mississippi State's at home. They usually play pretty good at home, and they even beat number 4 Texas A&M at home. So I'm calling Mississippi State. The environment is real. Charleston Southern will not win this game. Now, once again, another pick where I'll be called a dumbass. Western Michigan over number 4 USC. Now, you guys are probably asking me, am I high? Yes, I am. Because I think Western Michigan will pull off an upset against USC. A lot of people think USC might be undefeated. I don't think so. It's at home. It should be the USC's advantage, but I'm calling an upset for Western Michigan because I think they really want to have that chance to play for a national championship. So they're going to prove it by beating number 4 USC. This is the test they were waiting for the whole entire last season. This is the test they were waiting for. A top 4 school. Where if they can indeed win this game, they can win this game. they will do good things, and they might just get to a national championship. But I'm calling Western Michigan in a good old upset. North Carolina Central at Duke. We're not even going to talk about that. Duke is clearly your winner. James Madison at East Carolina. I think personally, James Madison is going to pull one off against East Carolina because they're the FCS champions playing a pretty low level FBS team. So, East Carolina is not really the best. And it's in the same general vicinity. I think James Madison is pretty close to North Carolina or wherever it's at. It's in East Carolina, but I believe it's in North Carolina, the college. But James Madison, I believe, will pull off an upset. I think they might even come out by destroying East Carolina, to be honest. But I definitely think they'll beat East Carolina in an upset. I think that FCS championship proves something. I think they get one against East Carolina. James Madison 1-0, East Carolina 0-1. Albany at Old Dominion, once again, two small schools, not one I really want to talk about. But Old Dominion will win just because they're at home, and I think they're the better team. Now, a debatable game, Appalachian State at number 15, Georgia. I'm going to call Georgia for sure because they're ranked number 15. They're at home. They're an SEC Power 5 conference school. Appalachian State is barely out of the FCS level, but Appalachian State does play pretty well most of the time. So I'm going to tell you right now, this will not be a destruction. It'll be kind of like that Tennessee game where it's like a touchdown. But definitely I'm going to say Appalachian State does have a chance, but I'm calling Georgia to win for sure. Miami, Ohio at Marshall. I like Marshall better as a team, and they're at home. And I really think Marshall needs a win to help their program out. I'm calling Marshall. Lamar at North Texas. Two small schools once again. I'm calling North Texas because they're at home. I really haven't heard of Lamar that much. And then we got Houston at Texas San Antonio. Now, both of these teams are pretty good, and it's at University of Texas San Antonio. Now, even though Houston was a better team last year, I definitely think San Antonio has a chance to win this game. But I think I'm going to call Houston just because they have more experience. They have played really well. I think it'll be close. I think they are at about the same level this season. Houston will not get back up into the rankings, unfortunately, with the loss of Tom Herman. I think that Houston wins this by, I'll guess 10 points against San Antonio. Eastern Kentucky at Western Kentucky. These are two schools in the same state. We really don't need to talk about that. We know Western Kentucky's at home, and I think they're the better team. Western Kentucky wins. Northwestern State at Louisiana Tech. Once again, another Conference USA school against a small school like Northwestern State. Louisiana Tech. Stephen F. Austin at SMU. SMU, because they are a Group of 5 conference team. UMass at Coastal Carolina. Now, you guys are probably starting to think, do I really think UMass is good? No, I don't think they're good. I just think they're playing lower level teams that aren't good. Coastal Carolina, I don't even know if they'll really even win a game or not. I'm just going to call UMass to win because they're a bigger school, and I've heard of UMass a lot more. They're independent, and they're at Coastal Carolina. They're a lower level school, and they usually don't do too well. UMass doesn't either. But you guys might be shocked that I'm going to say this, but UMass is going to start out 2-0, basically. That's true. I think they get it over Coastal Carolina. They win. Liberty at Baylor, easy enough. Baylor will win that game. Southeast Missouri State at Kansas. Now, Kansas is not the best FBS team, but Southeast Missouri State is like FBS as well as a lot of teams on here. I'm calling Kansas. Hampton at Ohio. I'm calling Ohio. Southeastern Louisiana at Louisiana. Raging Cajuns win the game. Houston Baptist at Texas State. Both of these teams are pretty lower level schools, and I really think both of them are terrible. But I'm going to say Texas State wins this for being at home. Central Arkansas at Kansas State. Kansas State. Georgia Southern at Auburn. I think Georgia Southern definitely has a chance to pull off an upset over Auburn. but I like Auburn to win this game. Even if it's close, Auburn will definitely win this game. Louisiana versus Purdue. This could be a major upset if Purdue can get the win, because they are not. I think that's almost like home to Purdue. It's in the same state. It's pretty much like home. It's probably only maybe at most 100 miles away from where they live. Louisville is probably like like 400 or 500 miles away. So I'm going to say Purdue has an advantage, but Louisville is just the better team, so I'm going to choose Louisville. South Alabama at Ole Miss, easy enough. Ole Miss, the only reason South Alabama beat Mississippi State last year was, I really don't know. That was just an upset. Now you guys are probably thinking, am I high again? Yes, I am. Yes, I do think an FCS school is going to pull off an upset against San Jose State. I do think that Cal Poly will beat San Jose State their weekend after, losing that game. I think Cal Poly can get a small upset over them. I think they will win this game for sure, and I'm calling Cal Poly. That's very risky, but I'm doing it. Florida State versus Alabama. Most of you are telling me, why don't I go with Florida State? Because I like Alabama better as a team, and clearly everyone else voting in the poll does too. If they don't have Clemson at number 1, they'd rather have Alabama at number 1. So I'm going to call Alabama to win this game because I think they're better than Florida State. Florida State literally wins all of their games by a few points. Like that, they will beat sometimes they will play the smallest school and win by like 1 point. And then they'll do the same for every other team. Like, Florida State barely gets away with their games. I don't think they'll do the same with Alabama. Alabama doesn't play like that. Nick Saban probably won't freaking take what they put at him, so he'll fight. And then there's Abilene Christian at New Mexico. Oh, by the way, Alabama wins. Abilene Christian at New Mexico, Arkansas State at Nebraska. Now, this is also debatable, since Arkansas State at times is like very good, and they defeated Troy by like they beat Troy by like 5 touchdowns at Troy, but I think they have a chance to beat Nebraska, but I like Nebraska better because I really think Nebraska is one of those teams that does exceptionally well at home, but if you give them a really tough road test, like Ohio State, they will not do so well. But Arkansas State at Nebraska, Arkansas State, I will say for sure, has a chance to win. If they can pull off upsets like going to Troy and beating number 25 Troy, they can go on the road and beat Nebraska. I think it's as simple as that, but I just call Nebraska to win because they're at home and they probably want to do something this season rather than just lose. And there's Jackson State. What the crap? What the crap is this? Guys, I think we're kind of... What the freak? Okay, so I could talk about the rest of those games, but you guys know the deal. I did a lot of those games. I've been doing... need to stop because I've been making this video for way too long talking. I need a freaking break. If you guys saw those games there, what were left, good for you guys. I sadly won't be able to predict them to you, but I can tell you the results for the second week. And I can let you guys know what my record for the previous week was, alright, if I can record it. But I will predict on my own time what those are, even though I've already done it. You guys didn't see it, unfortunately, sorry. But you will get to see this video end result of it, lagging out like that as early as it did. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.